Hello, everyone. Today I have a very, very special guest, and this is something that I have actually never done before because on my channel I usually stay within the same community of guests. But this group, there is more than those two boys, but there is a whole group of those guys who do incredible work on internet now, exposing and interviewing, let's say, not just exposing, the political events now taking place in United Kingdom. They have the YouTube channel, which will be linked down below. It's called Politics Relax Podcast. They also have an Instagram account, so please follow them. It will be down below. And those are the weekly podcasts on the current events and politics. I have to tell you, first of all, guys, why I have invited you to this interview. For many, many, many years, I have been watching London Real. Besides that, I've done many other work in this self-help community type. And Brian Rose and London Real for many years was one of my favorite shows to watch. Mm-hmm. What was happening last year was quite disturbing, and that was the entire situation in the world, and then how he reached out to his audience. And we are in the same position. We have our audience, we have our subscribers now, followers that we value and we cherish. So because of the censorship, he created something called the Platform of Freedom or something like this, that is a new platform outside of YouTube. Why I'm saying this story now is because many of my viewers know London Real and know who Brian Rose is, but I have to say the way how you expose this scam in this whole situation, your interview was unlike any other I ever seen done. People underestimate sometimes young people, and they think that they are not experienced enough or they haven't lived enough life. And I want to say, first and foremost, I'm so happy that you exist. Thank you for coming on my show. And let's introduce you first, if you want to say just a few words about who you are, and then we get into that famous interview.
Yeah, thank you so much for that really kind introduction. And thank you for having us on. I appreciate it a lot. My name's Felix. I founded Politics Relaxed 8 months ago now. And I've always been interested in politics and just kind of wanted to get young people together and speak about it, because young people in the UK especially are not that involved in politics, and all over the world really, because 18 to 24-year-olds are the lowest turnout for voters in the UK. And obviously I'm 15, I can't vote yet. So my generation just don't have an interest. I was speaking to somebody about this today in school, and he was just like, one, it's hours and hours of debate and it's boring. So what we tried to do is make it interesting, quick and exciting and accessible for young people.
Wonderful. Tommy, would you want to say a few words about yourself, how you get into this?
Well, I try and turn up weekly onto our Friday sessions. We film about the events that are happening in the week. From our perspective, the young people, I think our slogan is giving young people a voice in politics. And I joined the team in around October, November, so just by the US election. And I think since then it's been really good. We've had more people joining us, and we've been getting more people, especially that we don't know. I mean, some of them we've never even met before, but we're getting them into politics and we're getting them talking.
I love it. I have to tell you guys that as you are aware, because you are very, very bright and sharp and very knowledgeable in this field. I've watched not just the last interview with Brian Rose, I've watched the previous ones that you actually had with different guests. And I have to tell you, your level of preparation in the topics and about the people, it's really astonishing. And you're actually doing much better job than professional journalists who actually are very programmed and corrupted, and they serve the agenda. And I want to say this. You are a true example of the future of journalists, in my opinion, because you are shining the light from like very sincere place, there is no room for BS, and you ask straightforward questions and you stay within the question until you get the answer. And this is what I love, okay? So people cannot really escape, except Brian, who actually cut off the interview. So let's talk about this whole situation, because it's actually quite serious. There have been many people who invested in those courses that Brian had, or donated their own funds, right, to support him because they believed in the work that he was doing. And this is serious stuff. Now, that money went somewhere, who knows where, probably on this campaign now that he's doing. So how do you see this situation with him, and what is your take on about this at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been interested in Brian. I think it was originally he's got a big bus that he travels around all of London in, and it's just got a big picture of his face plastered right on the front of the bus, and something about that, I'm not really sure what it was, but the Americanism, and I think that out of the sheer amount of how out of touch he was with people in London really intrigued me, and I really wanted to ask him some questions. I had no idea what we'd be getting into until this whole thing kicked off. I just wanted to interview him because I was interested and just wanted to know. And then I started watching these videos. Oh, I'll just move this out a bit more. The light's terrible. Oh.
No, all good. This is real stuff, real life.
Yeah, exactly. No, and so I spoke to him. I emailed him a few times. Twice I used the wrong email address, so obviously I got nothing back. And then I emailed him the third time, and his press guy came back to me, and I was just really excited. I mean, it's not very often you get the chance to interview these types of people, and I really wanted to uncover. I feel he has a person. What he shows is a personality. It's not what he really is inside. And I really wanted to see if we could get that, strip that down, strip off all the kind of fakery, the character, the this big personality he puts on. It's very over Americanized and not really fitting in, I think, with current British politics. Although maybe in America less so because of Trump and everything that's going on over there and has gone. But I really wanted to ask him about that. And it was only when I started seeing these videos about people who their money had been taken away from them, and all the stuff he's been doing with the Business Accelerator course, and the fact he proclaims to be a free speech kind of warrior.
Exactly.
Big draw, and I think that was the main thing for me at the start. It was the fact that he deletes comments and then uses defends bringing on Brian Rowe. Defends bringing on David Icke, who I think has denied the Holocaust in the past, and pushes the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which was used by the Nazis to push the Holocaust. So I really want to ask him how. Look, I don't want to weigh in on the free speech debate. That's not my job to do. But I think that you cannot use that to defend somebody who has said some pretty dodgy things and yet delete comments. And I felt that was that one of his big flaws, because there's only so far you can go with the digital freedom platform, with the Business Accelerator course, because there's no evidence, there's no hard, solid evidence that I can actually ask him about. What I tried to do was tell him what people were saying, what I saw people saying. I've seen the videos online, I've seen the comments. All I wanted to do was take all that, put it to Brian and see what his response was. But there's only so far you can go with that. So I felt the big chink in his armor, the big kind of gap to expose him with was I didn't go in to expose him. I say expose him, and that's what happened, but I didn't go in to expose him. I really wanted to see why that was the case, why he thought it was all right to delete comments and defend David Icke with the free speech stuff. And then obviously the rest is kind of history, really. He tried to claim the video on our channel.
Yeah, I heard this. This is crazy. And we know this because we record Zoom interviews, okay? So we know how this works. When both sides are recording and who's posting it and claiming the rights, which is ridiculous. But I think no one has really exposed him like you did, guys, because that was like almost going around this, and I feel that this is not religious comment now, but is spiritual, because I believe we are mainly spiritual beings having the human experience here. I feel like God or the source is using ordinary people to do extraordinary things. And this is exactly what happened in your case. You literally created something in one snoop. You shine the light on shenanigans. And I appreciate you so much for this, because it takes courage, it takes persistence, and you didn't give up in this interview. You were going with the question to the point when there was like no way, just, I mean, he escaped the interview, which is unfortunate, but I give you credit for how you handle it. Now, this is the time to really, really show people the true colors are coming out. So Tommy, I want to ask you, when you have those guests on your show, right, and you interview them, do you see that they are still faking it, like there is this fake agenda behind their actions, or do you see there is more like genuine care about future of London and the people?
Well, I've only been on a handful of interviews, but I've watched pretty much most of them, and some of them have just stuck out to me. Like the most recent one, I was on Peter Gammons, and one of the really early ones that they did with it was another like a counselor or something, and it just struck me that they were saying things to please us, or to try and like it just didn't seem real. It seems like what they were saying. It reminds me of like some political campaigns, which I won't name for
Yes.
reasons, but it reminds me of them, that fake it till you make it. Just say what it will take to get votes. And I think with many of these things, politicians can say things that will please people, but it only takes a few to see when they're like, sugarcoating it. And I think we saw that with Brian. But yeah, it's been an interesting experience, I think, with all these mayoral candidates, because we've had quite a few on now.
Yes.
I think probably one of the most genuine ones we had actually was Max Fosh, who was actually telling us we had to make our own decisions and not just follow what the candidate was saying they would do. Like, you have to actually look into to what they to their policies and to what they believe in.
So such a good point you said, because, I live in US, so I see what's happening with many other things, but I don't want to go into it. What I want to say as a comment to what you said is that it's very interesting, like politicians always say to people what people want to hear, literally, because this is psychological. So they tell people what people want to hear. They don't necessarily say the truth, and when they promise, they don't deliver. That's another. And then when they enter the position with no money, when you look through their careers, it's like they're holding on to this position and they always become so crazy wealthy, right? Like, so we know like this is career and it's not a calling. If it's a calling, then you could do it without crazy remuneration, right? And how you see these guys now, because you live in UK, in London. How is this future for people in London and UK? How do you see it? Do you have hopes? Do you have like, you see the some positive aspects there? How is it?
I think I was thinking about this a bit earlier actually, and I'd say 3 or 4 weeks ago I mean, the current Conservative government is not one that I would align myself with at all, and I was feeling very hopeless. I mean, like the fact that like I just don't feel they have my best interests at heart and our generation's best interest at heart at the minute, and I just felt there was no real tangible way of changing it. But with this whole Brian Rose thing, and I mean, today we're going to see we got the current like local elections going on all around the
Okay.
country. Uh, so hopefully there is a positive
Is it
outcome to
today,
that.
like voting
Yeah, no,
today?
people are voting all around
Okay.
the country today. But we should see the results of the next few days, including Brian's run for mayor. if I go back to my point, which was, I mean, I feel a lot more hopeful now. But I feel with the Brian Rose interview, we really created some tangible, real change that you can really see. I mean,
Yes.
like the CoffeeZilla video is now, I think it's on 100,000 views. I mean, people are seeing this stuff, and people are starting to realize who Brian really is, and that's given me a lot more hope going into the future. And now, obviously, our audience has grown massively over the last few days.
Yes,
And
I'm so happy for that. Can I tell you, I'm so happy, guys. You deserve it. You really, really deserve it. Because, like I said, okay, I say it takes balls and it takes courage to do this. And there's a lot of people who are on the fence, and you just, you utilize whatever you have, you show up, and you deliver, and you do it, and you highlight the BS. And there's no more room for those fake gurus and those scammers and this get rich quick and all of this. It's really, we are all our own heroes. Literally, we are. So I acknowledge you. I'm so impressed by you guys. Seriously, I'm so impressed by what you do. And I just want to know if you will continue, because I think clearly you didn't go to any journalist school. This is like from you, natural. So
yeah,
you're gonna continue with this. I hope you will.
yeah, of course. I mean, we're hoping to get like more interview in the future. I've been reaching out to some people over the last few days to see yes or no. And obviously, I mean, this Sunday I think we're going to record just a normal episode again. So of course we're going to keep continuing, because look, the longer we go on, the more young people are going to be listened to in politics. I mean, just the other day, a charity reached out to me who are on the all-party parliamentary group in Parliament for like children. So like we're starting to really like create some change for young people, and that's always been my goal setting out from this, is to give young people a voice in politics. And I keep repeating that because it's so important. Because look, my age don't vote, as I said at the start. I just feel like I'm repeating myself, but I think it's so important to draw this in. 18 to 24-year-olds are the lowest turnout, and we need to change that. We need to get young people listening, we need to get them voting, and we need to get the politicians to be listening. And us doing these interviews will get them to listen, to get them to start to maybe think about what our generation is thinking, what they're feeling, and what might be best for us.
Such a great point. Because you are the future, guys. And I know it sounds like cliche, but you are the future. And with this mindset is incredible. Like, honestly, Tommy and Felix, tell me, guys, what we can do from my side here, how people can support you. What is the best way? Do you have like a PayPal account or something? What is the best way to help you out on this journey?
I mean, thank you, first of all. I'm really not sure yet. I don't know. I mean, we weren't expecting this like huge kind of outpour of support and people saying they like what we're doing. I wasn't expecting that. This was just going to be another one of our interviews. But I think, sorry.
You know what, Felix, what we're gonna do? Any donations that I will have today on PayPal, because I have my own PayPal where people donate and they also support me. All the donations that I will receive, I will let you know, and then we figure out, okay? So I just know that there will be people who will watch this interview that you had prior, and then they will be willing to help you out, because there's a lot of people who understand what kind of work it is, and it's stressful also, because I was watching that interview, and when you're meeting people of that kind of caliber with his persona, for example, it can be like intimidating, and you're not right. Yeah, it's like you kind of like
just on that point quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, like after the interview, I felt intimidated by this guy. He uses those tactics. He uses tactics to try and suppress you, to push you to the back of the line. I mean, I was speaking to his guy the other day, and I was like, "Why have you copyright striked our video?" Because I tried to go through that route first, and he said he wouldn't be able to do anything until Tuesday. And he was just listing all these publications that Brian Rose was on to try and intimidate me, to try and like push us to the back of the queue, instead of what he said in his statement, which frankly there were some interesting comments made, I think, to say the least, in that press statement he made about us. But he pushed us to the back of the queue, and it's as simple as that. And like the intimidation tactics he uses are just not on for me.
No, it's very low act, very low act. So, Tommy, any final thoughts? Like, how do you see the future? And is there anything you want to share with American audience?
Well, for the future, I think if we just continue as we are, like, you know, nothing really has changed behind the scenes. We're still young people that want to talk about politics. We just have a larger audience now, which we can speak to more people about this and get more of this low voting turnout increased, perhaps for the next election, because UK our next one, hopefully, if the Prime Minister doesn't resign, or if anything doesn't happen, it will be in 2024, where both Felix and I will be old enough to vote, and many of our viewers, I'd say. So I think it's just carrying on with what we're doing, and you know, we have a Twitter, we have a YouTube, we also post Spotify and many other platforms if you want to listen weekly. Yeah, that's pretty much what I got to say.
Perfect. So everything will be attached. Yes, Felix, go on.
Yeah, just to quickly add on to that, I mean, like, if you are a young person watching this, if you do want to get involved, you can email us. Also, make your voice heard. It's so important. If you're a young person, if you're talking about politics, talk about it and let people know what your real feelings are. And talk, like, email politicians, tell them what you're thinking. Email, like, journalists, tell them to hold people to account. Use your voice, use what you can do, because while we might have different political opinions, many on the podcast I say I strongly disagree with politically, but I'm still good friends with them. I think use what you have, because we all have the same goal, which is to get young people a voice and put young people's interests at the front and center of politics. And with like the climate strikes, with Black Lives Matter protests, with all these protest movements coming about, and I know a lot of them are more left wing, but even still, we want to get these young people's issues to the front of politics, and please do use your voice where you can.
It's amazing. Thank you. Seriously, guys, I'm so happy I was able to connect with you. You are the future of the journalist. And if the youth is like you, we are good, honestly. Like, I'm not concerned. We're going to be fine, more than fine, okay? Everyone, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Politics Relax podcast down below, Instagram. And then I have to check, you said you have 2 or 3 other platforms, so I will attach as well. And the support part we figure out, Felix.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. So much love and appreciation, and keep on doing what you're doing, and no one will ever bring you down, ever.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Cool.